Good morning, friends, and happy Wednesday. I'm Xavier, and it's time for the Morning Roundup. I do this little newscast Monday through Friday, and I try to pull stories that have more of a spotlight for the Black community. And I try to do it in under 10 minutes, but not today. Today is Wednesday, November 16th, 2022. Here's today's news just for you. First up, from Kiev, Ukraine. A senior U.S. intelligence official said missiles crossed into NATO member Poland and killed 2 people, striking targets across the country and causing widespread blackouts. A second person told the Associated Press that apparent Russian missiles struck a site in Poland about 15 miles from the Ukrainian border. If confirmed, the strike would mark the first time in the war that Russian weapons have come down on a NATO country. The Russian Defense Ministry denied being behind any strikes on targets near the Ukrainian-Polish border and said in a statement that photos of purported damage have nothing to do with Russian weapons. A NATO official speaking on condition of anonymity said the alliance was looking into reports of a strike in Poland. The U.S. National Security Council said it was also checking into the reports. Polish government spokesperson Piotr Mueller confirmed that an explosion had killed 2 people and said some military units were put on alert while officials investigated. Russia fired at least 85 missiles, most of them aimed at the country's power facilities, and blacked out many cities. Russian President Vladimir Putin has not commented on the retreat from Kherson since his troops pulled out in the face of a Ukrainian offensive. By striking targets in the late afternoon, not long before dusk began to fall, the Russian military forced rescue workers to labor in the dark and gave repair crews scant time to assess the damage by daylight. Zelensky warned that more strikes were possible and urged people to stay safe and seek shelter. In other developments, leaders of most of the world's economic powers were drawing closer to approval of a declaration strongly denouncing Russia's invasion. On Tuesday, U.S. President Joe Biden and Zelensky pressed fellow G20 leaders at the summit in Indonesia for a robust condemnation of Russia's nuclear threats and food embargoes. More discussion and a possible vote may come today. Next, former President Donald Trump is preparing to launch his 3rd campaign for the White House on Tuesday, looking to move from disappointing midterm defeats and defy history amid signs that his grip on the Republican Party is waning. Trump had hoped to use the GOP's expected gains in last week's elections as a springboard to vault himself to the party's nomination. Instead, he finds himself being blamed for backing a series of losing candidates after Republicans failed to take control of the Senate. While the party was on the cusp of retaking control of the House as of Tuesday, it could end up with the narrowest majority in decades. Another campaign is quite a turn for any former president, especially one who made history as the first to be impeached twice and whose term ended with his supporters violently storming the U.S. Capitol in a deadly bid to halt the peaceful transition of power on January 6, 2021. Trump is also facing a series of intensifying criminal investigations, including a Justice Department probe into the hundreds of documents with classified markings that were discovered in boxes and drawers at his Mar-a-Lago club. Aides and allies had urged Trump to wait until after the midterms were over, and then until after a December 6th Senate runoff election in Georgia to announce his plans. But Trump, eager to return to the spotlight, is also hoping to stave off a long list of potential challengers, including Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, who cruised to re-election last week and is now being urged by many in his party to run for president as well. Next up, from Kansas. An ex-detective Kansas City drug kingpin was charged with conspiring to run underage sex trafficking operation. Prosecutors have accused a former homicide detective at Kansas City, Kansas, of conspiring with a local drug kingpin to help run a sex trafficking operation involving underage girls. According to CNN, a 3-count indictment filed in U.S. District Court in Topeka, Kansas, claimed that Roger Golubsky, a retired 35-year-old detective, used his position to protect the operation from law enforcement inquiries. He pled not guilty. According to the indictment, girls as young as 13 were victims of the sex trafficking enterprise that Cecil Brooks, an alleged drug dealer, and 2 other men operated out of an apartment building in the 1990s. Golubsky, who retired in 2010, is accused of giving Brooks and his cohorts protection in exchange for money and a free rein to choose girls that provide him sexual services. Golubsky was charged in September with using his authority as a police officer to sexually abuse a woman and a young girl. He also pleaded not guilty to those accusations. Prosecutors unveiled a second indictment against him on Monday concerning the alleged sex trafficking operation, accusing him of conspiracy against rights and 2 charges of involuntary servitude, also known as slavery. Monday's indictment claims that Brooks recruited young girls who were runaways or from broken homes and imprisoned them in a room in an apartment building. He and co-defendants, Lamarck Robinson and Richard Bone Robinson, allegedly used physical violence and threats to coerce them into having sex. 2 unnamed victims corroborated the claims, including one who said Golubsky raped her, yanked her hair, and suffocated her when she was 16. Last year, Team Rock, the social justice and philanthropic division of rapper Jay-Z's entertainment company, Rock Nation, ran a full-page advertisement in the Washington Post highlighting the claims against Golubsky and calling for an investigation into the Kansas City Police Department. The ad referred to the alleged police corruption as one of the worst examples of abuse of power in U.S. history. This is as reported by CNN. Golubsky first came under fire in 2016 for his role in the double murder conviction of Lamonte McIntyre. A judge dismissed the case when the county district attorney decided he no longer had faith in the sentence. McIntyre, who had served 23 years in prison for the crime, was released in 2017. McIntyre and his mother sued Golubsky and other officers involved in his arrest in a civil complaint after he was freed. According to the lawsuit, Golubsky had used his authority to terrorize Kansas City's black community for years. He allegedly preyed sexually on black women and had an illicit relationship with Brooks. The defendants reached a $12.5 million settlement in the case over the summer, but neither Golubsky nor the others, including other officers or county government officials, acknowledged any wrongdoing. Next, from Louisiana. The Louisiana grand jury began hearing evidence on Monday in the deadly 2019 arrest of Ronald Green, a long-awaited testimony that will determine whether state charges are brought against the white troopers who were seen on body camera video stunning, striking, and dragging the black motorist by his ankle shackles following a high-speed chase. Prosecutors plan to present a wide range of felony counts related to the troopers' use of force and their decision to leave Mr. Green handcuffed and prone for several minutes before rendering aid. The panel is expected to hear from several witnesses before deciding on indictments in the coming weeks. I want justice to be done, John Belton, the Union Parish District Attorney, told the Associated Press. I just feel like I need to do the right thing and present everything to the grand jury and have them determine which way this thing is going to go. The proceedings come 3.5 years after Green died in Louisiana State Police custody on a rural roadside outside Monroe. The state case was held up for months by an ongoing FBI investigation that expanded to include allegations of an attempted cover-up. Belton said the goalposts moved. He also added that he long expected the U.S. Justice Department to bring civil rights charges to the case. He had to balance it because he said, I promised the feds I wouldn't pursue any charges pending their investigation, but I promised the family I'd seek justice. Long shrouded in secrecy, Green's death exploded into public view last year after Associated Press obtained and published graphic body camera footage showing the 49-year-old pleading for mercy and wailing, I'm your brother, I'm scared, I'm scared. Authorities initially told Green's family he died in a crash following a lengthy police pursuit, a narrative the family rejected, and that was questioned even by an emergency room doctor after Green's bruised and battered body arrived at the hospital. Still, the coroner's report listed the cause of death as a motor vehicle accident, while a state police crash reported omitted any mention of troopers even using force in Green's arrest. And 462 days would pass before state police began an internal investigation into the troopers involved. The Democratic governor has since described the troopers' treatment of Green as both criminal and racist. Monday, Edwards attended a groundbreaking ceremony for an infrastructure project rather than appear in Baton Rouge before a bipartisan legislative committee who was investigating Green's death. From Haiti, Prime Minister Ariel Henry has dismissed Haiti's Justice Minister, Interior Minister, and its government commissioner in a fresh round of political upheaval. Former Justice Minister Bourdeaux Dorsey first fired Government Commissioner Jacques Lafontaine on Henry's orders before being ousted himself days later, along with Interior Minister Lisette Coutelle, according to documents that the Associated Press obtained on Monday. Coutelle had previously served as Justice Minister. Henry did not say why the officials were removed, and his spokesman could not be immediately reached for comment. Henry has become Haiti's Interior Minister while still serving as Prime Minister, and Émilie Prophet-Milice was named Justice Minister, the fifth one in the past 2 years as the country struggles to bring to justice all those involved in the July 2021 assassination of President Jovenel Moïse. The dismissals come a month after the U.S. government announced it was pulling the visas belonging to current and former Haitian government officials involved with gangs. The officials were not identified. Earlier this month, the U.S. Treasury Department imposed sanctions on Haitian Senate President Joseph Lambert and former Senator Yuri Latour amid allegations they abused their positions to smuggle drugs alongside gangs and directed others to engage in violence. From Los Angeles, Beyoncé claimed a leading 9 Grammy nominations Tuesday, making her tied with her husband Jay-Z as the most nominated music act in the history of the award show. Beyoncé's Break My Soul reeled in record and Song of the Year nominations, while Renaissance, which ventured into the world of dancehall music, netted an Album of the Year nod. With Jay-Z also earning 5 nods this year, each spouse now holds the record for the most ever Grammy nominations at 88 apiece. Kendrick Lamar came away with the second most nominations with 8. Adele and Brandi Carlile both received 7 nods. Harry Styles, Mary J. Blige, Future, DJ Khaled, The Dream, and mastering engineer Randy Merrill each picked up 6. Nearly half of this year's leading nominees, announced by the likes of Olivia Rodrigo, John Legend, Machine Gun Kelly, and Smokey Robinson, are women, and more than half are people of color, according to the Recording Academy. The ceremony will be held February 5th in Los Angeles. This makes me very proud, but it makes me conscious of the fact that we have to maintain the work we have done, said Harvey Mason Jr., the Recording Academy CEO. He said there have been strides in the peer-driven voting system and increased membership, but he still believes more progress can be made. Beyoncé, the most decorated woman in Grammy history with 28 wins, could break the late Hungarian-British conductor George Solti's record for most awards won if she wins 4 awards. Solti, who had 31 Grammys, has held on to the record since 1997. And lastly, from the Griot, Kindred, a new drama series from FX Productions set to premiere on Hulu next month, has revealed its official trailer. The series is based on Octavia E. Butler's Hugo Award-winning 1979 novel of the same name. Viewers get a glimpse into what to expect in the nearly 2-minute trailer. Kindred centers around Dana James, a young Black woman and aspiring writer who has moved to Los Angeles after uprooting her life once full of familial obligation. Its episodes will stream on Hulu, and it premieres on Tuesday, December 13th. The trailer teases Kindred as part drama, part suspense, part sci-fi, as Dana sees images of white plantation owners one minute and her white love interest in the present day the next. The clock is ticking as she struggles to confront secrets about her bloodline. All 8 episodes of the series' first season will become available to view on December 13th. You can check out the preview and the link below. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you tomorrow. Keep up with me on Instagram at the Morning Roundup. I also have another show called The Black Case Files, where I do more of a deep dive on murders, mysteries, conspiracies, and history, focusing on people of color. That show is always linked below. Make sure to check it out, and I will see you tomorrow, friends.